Morning, boss. This week's income from the sponsors has cleared, and we're making good profit against our running costs.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 13 today for the Hungarian Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous one at the British GP, our home Grand Prix, then check that one out before you see this one. That was a rather topsy-turvy episode, I'll say. We had some game-breaking issues on top of the actual in-game race weekend issues of the car not being really on pace, and then also we lost out on quite a bit of sponsor money due to the game-breaking issues. If you don't know what I'm talking about, like I said, check that episode out. But yeah, at the end of that episode, I said hopefully we can bounce back really strong here at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Quite nice that we've got to the Hungarian GP race weekend literally just as the real-life Hungarian GP is on this weekend there. And to kick things off this episode, we're looking at a brand new sponsor now. This isn't an actual fourth sponsor. This is a renegotiation of one of the slots we've already got. So DSP Optics is going to be out. That contract period is over, and we're going to go ahead and look at some new sponsors. And having looked at the full list, but the new sponsor in place of DSP Optics we're going to go for is, I think it's pronounced Sudu, maybe, I don't know, it's got the accents on, so I might be wrong there, but you can see it's got a very decent weekly income of just over 200k, but you can see the goal bonus is massive there, and compared to the sponsors just above it on the chart, that goal is actually very obtainable, achieving the fastest lap in any session, i.e. I can just slap on a set of soft tyres in FP1 and just bang out a fastest lap when every other AI car is not going off the hard or medium tyres. So we can definitely do that every single race weekend. And compared to, like I said, the sponsors above it on this chart here that do have bigger bonuses and overall would earn us more money, all the goals are very unobtainable, like getting into first place for a few laps or achieving a podium or whatnot, or achieving, you know, X amount of points, which is just far too big for us in one race weekend. This is a very obtainable goal. So really awesome to get this sponsor on board. It's only a very short contract length of 49 days, but I guess in a way that might mean we can, you know, look for an even better one if our acclaim goes even higher and there are better ones that we can choose as well. So kind of, you know, both kind of goes hand in hand of silver linings there of it being a short contract period. We're going to swap over back to our regular livery, of course. We obviously did a one-off home GP livery last time out, and we're also going to slap the sponsors back on because I actually removed all of them for last episode because it didn't really go well with the livery itself, but now putting them back on and also putting our new sponsor on in place of where DSP Optics was, also switching out a little bit, so we'll have a different sponsor on the Halo, just for the sake of having a bit of nice difference episode to episode. But we're now going to move forward into the activities timeline and choose what we're going to do ahead of the Hungarian Grand Prix. We've got quite a hefty bit of space to work with here, essentially. So we've got a 4-day attend F1 esports event that will improve our drivers' acclaim by quite a fair amount, 200 there, and then we've got 2 sponsor events, essentially, a funded sponsor event, and then we've got a kind of driver advertisement, it would seem, for 3 days as well. So both those, that one on the bottom right will earn us some cash, actually. So we're going to spend some money on the funded event, but then also get some money off the driver's advertisement. But both will boost acclaim for the team, and then the attending F1 esports one will boost my personal driver's acclaim, which in turn obviously does help out the team. But we move forward then, looking at the R&D chart. Remember, we have now this rear downforce that has come in. That did not fail in the car, so that has successfully come through. So remember, we had that major front downforce last episode. The rear downforce, I timed it incorrectly. It was going to come in for this race. It has come through successfully, so we've got 2 major air updates now on the car since 2 races ago. But obviously at Silverstone, it didn't really work out that much. I didn't really feel the improvements in downforce. I guess maybe because we had a kind of imbalance of front to rear. Hopefully at Hungary now, having 2 major upgrades on the car together will really boost it. And I'm hoping the engine power upgrade, the major one, really hope that doesn't fail, because if it doesn't, that will really help us on the compromise of running higher wings around Hungary, but also not losing out too much on the straights, if you know what I mean. But having a look around the R&D chart, thinking about what I want to do with the points we've got through the week, essentially, and I was tempted by another engine upgrade. I had a look around chassis, but even though the chassis is quite weak, I really don't feel the need to improve it that much yet, because yes, it would help the lightweight nature of the chassis. I think that's maybe the next thing to do, but I really want to keep on delving into the aero, just because I was so hurt, essentially, from how bad the aero was and how bad the downforce was around Silverstone. I don't want a repeat of that around the Belgium Grand Prix, or other tracks like that coming up Singapore. So we've gone for the 2 minor upgrades on the front and rear downforce, and as you can see in the background, thankfully, the major engine power has come in. So no failures on the upgrades. 2 major upgrades for us this race weekend. That is awesome. It means that we continue to be the best Honda-powered car on the grid. And in terms of aero, we're making strides to catch up to our quote-unquote rivals, like Renault, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo. So that's really great news. So those upgrades on the car, and now we have 2 minor aero updates also pending. And then, like I said, after that, then is when I think we'll start to invest in the chassis side of things, on the weight reduction, because that will help, hopefully, the acceleration and just the kind of movability and drivability mid-corner. Speaking about the chassis, we're going to go ahead and spend some money on the department, on chassis at HQ, because we've shown a lot of love to the aero side recently on the HQ. We've not done that much on the chassis. We've only done 1 upgrade on the build time. So we're going to go ahead in terms of what we can afford. We can either do fabrication or the resource points. And I felt like I talked about this last episode. We're not earning enough resource points, I feel. So we're going to go ahead and improve the resource point generation from the chassis department, just to make sure we get enough points to actually spend basically on upgrades coming up. So I think the next upgrade we might make on the HQ is the fabrication of the chassis, because then all departments I can do at least 2 simultaneous developments, which will be really, really awesome for all 3 performance-based parts of the HQ. But we move forward then into the race weekend at the Hungarian Grand Prix. And like I said, with our new sponsor, like I said, Sudu, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not, though. I'm always horrendous with names. But our brand new sponsor, due to that goal of getting the fastest lap in any session, you can just see here showing you what I mean. In FP1, very cloudy, everyone else on mediums and hards. I'm out there on soft tires going and setting a fastest lap, and we did that. We got P1 in FP1, so we'll get that goal bonus even before we begin qualifying or the race. So that's absolutely awesome. And remember, DSP Optics' goal was a top 10 finish, so we no longer have to worry about a top 10 finish. Obviously, we'd like to. That's always the aim with us. We want to get to the points, but right now, the lowest position I can get and get full money is P12 with Pay Night. So that's actually quite positive in case we have a very tough race weekend. And as you can see, it is raining here on Saturday for Q1, so it might be a tough race weekend. Rain at the start of qualifying. I'm pretty sure there's forecast for it drying up in Q2 and Q3. If we make it through, that is. We have to make it through first, and that might be a challenge. Let's see how we do. We're here on this first flying lap. Very tentative around the lap, I must say, on the first one. Just kind of feeling out the circuit. To be fair, though, the car did feel much better around this circuit than it ever did around Silverstone. I don't know if that's a combo. I think it's a combo of the aero upgrade on the rear end, balancing out the front, and then also I've compromised the wings. I think I'm running 8.8 wings on front and rear, but remember, because of our engine power upgrade, hopefully that will alleviate the damage I'm doing on the straights with the higher wings, and that ensures I have enough downforce in sectors 2 especially to try and find the time, because I think come race day we're going to need that to keep up with cars. The only thing is we might struggle then on the exit of corners and down the straights because we've got those high wings, but that's a risk we have to take in terms of that compromise. But we go across the line for a second time then. We improve very much so, vastly. P10, I was so happy with that. And then we go towards the end of the session, and unfortunately, I think what happened was I think the track dried out, and a combo of that classic thing with the F1 game is when you go through to the load screen, every AI just improves exponentially, it would seem. And so we went from P10 to being knocked out in P19. So compared to Silverstone, it's not actually much of an improvement, but I feel like, genuinely, I think I made a mistake. I should have gone out for a third run right to the end of the session, as should have Aitken, because he copied me. I think your AI teammate, it's just a theory, but I think your AI teammate copies how often you go out, because I saw that in practice. Whenever I went out, Aitken went out quite near to me, and I think the same thing happens in quali. So I didn't go out, he didn't go out. I feel like we both could have improved our time, and I at least could have got through into Q2, so that was a bit of a shame, but it was wet quali. You guys know me. I fully admit I've never gone well on the wet, so it's not a massive shock we got knocked out in Q1. Race day is going to be dry, so let's focus on that, and God, let's hope that our race pace is much better than it was last time out. I hopefully should be, because the car felt much better in practice, so let's go to the grid and see how we do.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of the Formula One World Championship. We don't expect too many retirements at this track. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here. In particular, Ralf Schumacher. He made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts. We're northeast of Budapest for the race today at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Let me ask you about Racing Point. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Albon, Perez, Sainz, Norris, and Daniel Ricciardo, Stroll, Ocon, Kimi Raikkonen, and Magnussen, Grosjean, Kvyat, Pierre Gasly, and Antonio Giovinazzi, a Mercedes, Russell, Aitken, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
Alright, so thankfully, no rain here on Sunday to kind of be another spanner in the works that we don't need from P19. In terms of race strategy, we've got two different decisions, a one-stop or a two-stop. Two-stop, always quite tempting for me. Obviously, personally, I love a good aggressive strategy, but the car does not have the pace for that. And also, remembering back to previous Hungarian GPs on the F1 game, especially in the last two F1 games, I think the one-stop's going to be very powerful around here, just as it was at the French GP and the Chinese Grand Prix. You remember at France, we got amazing track position, the same thing at China. I think here at Hungary we can do the same thing and essentially try and jump a few of the midfield guys we're trying to fight in the championship, of course. You know, Renault, even McLaren, they've started to get a little bit slow recently, but AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, if we can try and jump some of those guys with the one stop and then get track position and then just defend our heart out there on track, I think that's the best bet for us instead of trying to be quick when, you know, potentially we don't actually have the pace. You know, we're not going to suddenly pick up so much pace from one race to the other, even with two major upgrades. So I think we're going to need the extra track position and the one less pit stop to get ourselves that advantage. So we'll go with the one stop, medium to hards, and hope for the best spacing. Hopefully we have a race like France or China where we can jump a lot of people and then just do the work to finish off in the end of the race. Having said that though, we need to be as punchy as we can at the very start of this Grand Prix to try and make up some positions we may have lost yesterday on Saturday. Here we go to 5 red lights to the Hungarian Grand Prix, and we're underway for round number 13 of this season. It's a good getaway compared to Antonio Giovinazzi, the man we've had so much familiarity with on track the last two episodes. We're going to dart down to the inside of both AlphaTauris, so fine on either side of our car there, but just picked it out, pinpoint, couldn't quite get Kvyat. We're side by side with Gasly. It's 3 wide up ahead between the two Ascars and Kvyat. The Russian goes the long way around. We're doing the same on the outside of Pierre Gasly, down the crest then in towards Sector 2, and Grosjean has been squeezed out by Kvyat. We're up into P16, boost of VRS, try and cut across to defend the position against Grosjean. Made a bit of contact with him, I think, as well, but we've maintained the position, thankfully, not spun out, because I was a bit worried about that, because we did give him a good old squeeze. And now, on the back of Magnussen, massive dart to the inside there. Oh, massive drift as well onto the chicane as the rear end really steps out there, so wringing the neck out this car. But it's worth it because we got up into a very decent P15 position, so 4 places gained on lap 1, and that Magnussen overtake was crucial because now we've got a pocket of clean air behind Kvyat, and Kvyat's looking pretty damn quick. He's already pressurizing Ocon up ahead, which, remember, is my rival as it stands at this point in the season, so I need to try and beat him. We lost out to the rivalry last episode, and I think we're like 3 different points behind in the rivalry compared to Ocon, so we do need to try and beat him if we can today, and so using that clean air to good effect to close up to Kvyat, but now getting stuck in a bit of a DRS train, a kind of classic Hungary sort of situation, like Monaco as well. Very hard to pass around Hungary, especially if you don't have the straight line speed, and you can see there, you know, very clearly you can see that I've compromised the wings. You know, we've got the downforce in the second sector, but I just can't quite get Kvyat on the straights. Also, I think that's also, to be fair, also to do with our chassis. That's where the chassis weight reduction will help out, the acceleration out the corners. So I will admit that's definitely the next upgrade I'm doing as quick as I can, is the chassis weight reduction, because we definitely need that to help us on the acceleration. But as you can clearly see at the moment, struggling to try and close up to Kvyat. Lap number 7 though, we gain up into P12 as some people make an early pit stop. Those will be the guys in the top 10, and the same thing happens onto lap number 8, the very next lap. DRS open again, staying with the 1 second, and we're keeping Kvyat and Ocon honest, and we're staying with them. We're pulling away from all the cars behind us. We're up into P6 now, as so many people have made that early pit stop for the 2 stop today from soft tires to mediums, as there's yellow flags behind for some reason. Someone retiring, I'm guessing, in sector 1, and it's going to be Lewis Hamilton is going to be out of the Hungarian Grand Prix. He's going to park it up at turn 1. He'd made his pit stop onto medium tires. His teammate came out ahead of him, Bottas, on the softs, but it won't matter because Hamilton is out. You're about to see, there he is, right off in the distance there, pulling up and retiring. What a shame for him. That's 2 retirements in 3 episodes for Hamilton. So big dents for his championship hopes today, and we'll see how his rivals fare and how they capitalise on that later. Now back in the cockpit of our race, pressurising Kvyat again on lap number 8, but still unable to make anything work in sector 2. Very difficult to pass in there. Like Monaco, you know, you make a dive and you're probably going to make contact and get spun around or just not make the pass. But we're a lot closer to Kvyat this time round than we were any of the previous laps. I feel like he's got a bit of tyre wear on his rear tyres now, and we're so much closer through that last corner. And now we're going to plant the power. ERS overtake mode. DRS open, rich mix going, we're gaining, and we're going to make a massive dive bomb down the inside, very Daniel Ricciardo-esque, and we're going to make it work from that far back. And we're up into P3 now, as a few more people were making a pit stop whilst we did that. But that was a fantastic overtake, crucial one, really crucial, because I may not be able to actually keep up with Kvyat properly in a straight line, but I was clearly faster in sector 2. So in clean air, I'm already on the back of Ocon. I've dropped Kvyat, as you can see, with a big gap behind me, and we're going to go for the dive once again. DRS open, overtake mode to the inside, this time a little bit closer, lock up at the front right, grazing the front tyres with the Frenchman in the Renault. We now go side by side, squeezing him to the right to tighten up his line. We go round the outside, give him the space, but on the exit down the hill, we get the power down a bit earlier, take the racing line, take the apex, and we're up into P2 as it is right now, on track as everyone else has made the pit stop. But let's have a look then at these overtakes on board from the drivers I just overtook. Kvyat here, caught napping, and you're about to see the mega dive bomb. We made no contact with Kvyat. He literally just got completely caught unawares. How many times have you seen that in real life sometimes? If you're not concentrating, you leave the door open, you get done. This one with Ocon, it was a lot closer. We didn't even make contact then. I thought we did. No contact made on the right-hand side. Just fair, very close racing. Squeeze him very harshly to the left there. Bit of a good tactic to tighten up his line. And then we get the job done in the second phase of the corner down the hill. So 2 really aggressive overtakes, but crucial ones, because you can see here on lap number 10, I'm starting to push away and trying to break that 1 second gap to Ocon, because I don't want him having DRS, because otherwise he will catch up to me, because despite having the better engine power, I've obviously got very high front and rear wings, so he's able to catch up to me every single time in sectors 1. Sector 2, though, pushing as hard as I can to get the gap and try and close up to this man, Lance Stroll, who's doing a great job in first place. But this is how it stands. Stroll was in first, I'm in second place, third place is Esteban Ocon then, like I said, in the Renault. Then you've got Kvyat in the AlphaTauri. Then there's a bit of a gap. Then you've got Magnussen in the first of the Haas cars, Gasly in the second AlphaTauri, Giovinazzi, and then here are the first of the cars that have made that first early pit stop. These guys are on a 2-stop. Leclerc, Bottas, Vettel, but both Ferraris on medium tyres. Bottas with a very aggressive 2-stop on a set of soft tyres. But all these guys have to pit again, as do all of us. So if they want to get back into the lead of this Grand Prix, they have to overtake all of us here on track, or obviously via the kind of pit stops and the strategy of just tyre wear, but they have to make the moves basically. So we've got a massive advantage as Leclerc made a move there. You know, this is an advantage just like the French Grand Prix. This could be an absolute miracle work of a strategy for not only me, but also the likes of Lance Stroll. But having said that, these two are very clever. The 2 Red Bull cars, they've pit onto hard tyres, so they are doing a 1-stop. The 2 Red Bulls are the only guys of the top 3 teams to do this 1-stop. So Verstappen there and Albon we're looking at. These 2, they're going to the end. So I would suspect by the end of this race, don't be surprised if you see it a Red Bull 1-2, and don't be surprised if you see the 2 Ferraris here and Bottas still stuck behind some of these cars further back down the order. So this just has become a very tasty Grand Prix. We have genuinely got a very good chance of not only points, some very high points, I think, because we're in P2 right now, and we're still 5 cars ahead of the next, like, top car of the Ferrari, and they've got to pass all those cars as well. So we've got a very good chance, you know, of some high point. I'm talking Monaco levels, because almost this race has almost become the Monaco Grand Prix strategy, just minus the rain. Like, we're making a one-stop work from slick tyres to slick tyres. At Monaco, we did a one-stop from the mediums to inters. Now, just pretend like the inters are the hard tyres here, and it's the same strategy. It's the same thing. So, and it's no surprise. Obviously, they call Hungary Monaco without barriers, as I've said a few times this episode. This is the proof in the pudding. It's the same strategy, basically. And we're going to do the same thing. Is we're going to try and finesse our way up the order. I say finesse. It's not even a finesse, because a load of other cars are doing it. Stroll's doing it. Ocon, Kvyat, Magnussen, all of us are trying this, and all of us are succeeding quite well here. So you watch now as we're coming in for our one and only pit stop. We've caught up to Lance Stroll quite nicely there. He really started to feel the tyre wear at the end of the stints, which is, I think, a characteristic I've noticed on this game so far, having done 13 episodes of career mode in my team. The AI definitely feel tyre wear a lot more, I feel, on this game, but it's always towards the end of the stint. Obviously, at the start, there's no tyre wear, but the AI is so consistent at the start of the stints, like they're alien-like consistent at the start of the stint, so it's very hard at the beginning of the race. It's very hard at the start of every stint to keep up with them, but then by the end of the stints, if you're persevering enough, you will start to gain on any of the guys you're fighting, because they start to feel the tyre wear, they start to make those little wobble mistakes on the rear end. So that's been pretty nice to see, has been a bit more realistic and kind of way more apparent on this year's game. But at the moment, Kvyat's in the lead still, because he's still going on. Second and third is the Ferrari cars, but they're on softs. They're on medium, sorry, and the 2 Red Bulls are closing up to them on hard tyres. So already you can see how much of an issue that strategy is for Ferrari and for Mercedes and Bottas, because Bottas at this stage of the Grand Prix has already made his pit stop, and he's already way behind in traffic, as we're now up into P6 as Kvyat pits. The 2 Ferraris are also going to pit very, very soon, so we could be up into very high positions. But this is what I mean. This is where Bottas is. He's in the middle of a massive train of midfield cars. You know, you've got Raikkonen, the 2 McLarens. You've got Ricciardo, Perez leading the way, Magnussen, Grosjean, Gasly in there. This is Kvyat closing up to Ocon. Then this is us, Stroll, and the 2 Red Bulls. And there is Vettel and Leclerc. Those 2 Ferraris yet to make their stops. They are now going to make their stops on lap 20, I believe. At least one of them. And then obviously the next one will make it the next lap on lap 21. So you come across the line. We overtake Vettel, so he's made his stop, and now soon enough Leclerc will make his stop. So we're up into P5 right now, and we will get up into P4 of the Hungarian GP, and we're 13 laps away from the race end, going to the end of this Grand Prix, and we're in P4. In a legit P4. This is absolutely awesome. All we've got to do now is just try and see how this goes and plays out. Like, how fast are the Ferraris going to be behind us? Because as it stands, Bottas has hardly made any progress in the midfield. The difference, though, with the Ferraris is they were much further ahead than Bottas. Leclerc is actually already in clean air behind us in P5, so he definitely will catch up to us. That's not even a question. He will catch up to us. He's only just under 3 seconds behind us, so it's going to be inevitable. But where's Vettel going to be? Because as Leclerc sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix, that's inevitably coming. The question is, where is Vettel? Because at the moment, it seems he's behind at least Ocon. I hope he's behind Kvyat as well and gets held up. But for sure, as I look behind me, there, just about, you can see that red car in the distance as we look behind us in the cockpit. He's coming, so he's going to overtake us eventually. It's just about, maybe can we use him as a way to overtake Stroll? Because at the moment, I can't really catch up to Stroll that much. Like, I'm almost hoping and praying Stroll hits tyre wear eventually, because as it stands, I can't compete with him in a straight line. I can't catch up to him, and even in sector 2, I'm not gaining enough in the corners to be able to overtake Stroll. So at the moment, as we're on the straight, you can see Leclerc is right behind me. He's unable to overtake me on this straight, actually, because we use enough ERS, and we've got DRS ourselves off the Canadian. But I suggest on this next exit, he's going to mince us. We're not going to use any ERS, not going to fight it, because what's the point? There's no way we're going to keep him behind, and even if we do, we'll just create a massive train that eventually Vettel will join if we do that. So Leclerc's gone. He'll eventually also go on to overtake Stroll. So in my mind, that's all calm. That's fine. That was always going to happen. We're not going for that position. We're trying to get the highest we can, which could potentially be a P5, I think, in this Grand Prix, because Leclerc's up into P3, Stroll's P4, we're in P5 right now, but the thing is, I don't know where Vettel is, and Vettel might try to overtake us, and if he does, we need to try and hope and somehow try and attack Stroll. And to be fair, as we move on to lap 31, you can see visually we are a little bit closer to Stroll. His tyre wear is kicking in now. He is clearly a little bit looser on the rear. You might see it, he's having some little mini wobbles. And right there, in the last corner, I'm getting so much more time. So he's really struggling now in this Grand Prix. I'm struggling in the exit there. We can't quite get him, but I'm really pushing hard. That's why I made that mistake of going wide on the exit, because I'm pushing so hard to try and overtake him, because I can see in the mirrors, but right behind me, Vettel is gaining on us, and he's only 2 seconds back. We open DRS again, use plenty of ERS, trying to close up. Can't quite make it on lap 32. Can we make it onto lap 33 as we make another mistake there, but we're going to still keep within Stroll because he's actually so slow now in the corners. So through sector 2, we're going to really gain on him, and on lap 33, we're going to do enough to make another third dive bomb down the inside, lock up, major one on the front right there, just about slow it down and don't make any contact with him. And on the exit, ERS used, DRS open as well, rich mix, and we've got Stroll behind us. Vettel now is, I believe, down the inside. Yeah, you can see in the mirrors, there he is, Vettel, he's overtaken the Canadian, and so Vettel is up into P5, we're into P4. Now we need to smoothly allow Vettel to overtake us without losing time to Stroll, because the Ferrari is going to overtake us. There's 2 whole laps. He will be faster than us. It's now just not losing enough time. So Vettel makes a pounce. We open up the corner, but then he's a little bit too slow mid-apex, so it's very awkward, but we just slot in behind, keep it ahead of Stroll, and now I've just got to try and use this car in this very sector, sector 2, try and push away and hopefully maintain the P5. Stroll is the faster car, but he's hitting some tyre wear. He was a little bit slow at the end of this stint, and so we're going to use that to good effect. And so here we are on lap 35. To be fair, Stroll did keep me very honest in these last 2 remaining laps. You can see how quick the Ferraris are. They've waltzed away in literally a lap and a half there. But we're going to come through as Max Verstappen wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's a 1-2 for Red Bull. But we are going to come home in P5 and match our best result from Monaco at the Hungarian Grand Prix. What a race that has been. What a race strategy. GG's all round. What a race. After such a disappointing home Grand Prix, that is the bounce back I was talking about. That is what you're talking about. Driver of the day, get in there.
It's victory in Budapest then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
So I misspoke, Verstappen did win, but actually Leclerc was so quick, he actually caught up to Albon. So the 2-stop was actually quite a fast strategy for the Ferraris. They just needed to be a little bit quicker or pass us a little bit quicker. I don't know. But you saw there, the 2-stop was actually quite competitive if you had a fast enough car. But for the likes of Bottas, they were way down the order, got stuck behind cars. And for a load of us, we made a mad strategy work. Stroll, myself, even Ocon and Kvyat, gained a lot of positions with the 1-stop. And you can see on the race result, and you may have seen in the race result, the respective teammates really did quite badly when they did 2-stop. In terms of the championship, it doesn't gain us any positions in the standings. Renault and AlphaTauri still very consistent on points, and so they remain ahead of us, but at least we don't lose any more points to Alfa Romeo, and we did technically gain a little bit on Renault and AlphaTauri, so chipping away at that a little bit. Aitken unfortunately did not perform a very good 1-stop, and he was unable to make it work. I think the difference there obviously is lap 1 I made 4 overtakes, whereas he did not make, I don't think he made like 1 or something like that, so that's the difference there. But it doesn't matter because it's an early stage of our career. At this stage in my team, I'm not really caring too much about the teammate. It's more just about where the car is, improving the car and actually seeing that car get faster. But we do beat Ocon by 2 points there in the rivalry, so we're still 1 point behind him in that rivalry breakdown. So we've got 2 races remaining to try and overturn that, basically. But at the end of this race, we're getting a very eye-watering $1.04 million in bonuses for our sponsors. That is what you love to see. Going from 0 bonuses last episode to 1.04. If we get this every episode, we're going to be laughing to the bank and back in the next few episodes until obviously that new sponsor runs out on the contract period, because it was quite a short contract period of only 94 days compared to like the other ones. But anyway, I digress. That's still an amazing total of money. So that's going to be really decent. That gets us back over $2 million, so we can maybe potentially buy a new HQ upgrade straight away next episode. But guys, if you did enjoy the episode, I hope you did, because that was our equal best position yet in the season, then smash the like button. What a strategy call for me, the likes of Stroll, Ocon and Kvyat. All of us did an insane strategy there and made it work so well. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.